The winter rule modern homes forgot. Winter has always been the season that exposes weak systems. Long before thermostats, foam insulation and forced air, families survived brutal cold with limited fuel and, really no margin for waste. They did not heat homes the way we do today. They managed air. And one forgotten rule of winter ventilation quietly kept generations warm while conserving precious firewood, coal and labour. This rule still works, even now. If you live in an older home, a cabin, or, anywhere energy is expensive or unreliable, what follows is not theory. It is tested survival knowledge. Before we go further, if you value historically proven survival skills, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who respects practical knowledge, drop a comment with your own experiences, and subscribe to WARFRONT Survival. This channel exists to preserve methods that kept people alive when comfort was earned, not purchased. Now, let's get into the rule itself. Warm air was treated as a resource, not a luxury. Historic households understood something, that modern heating often ignores. Heat does not stay put. Warm air rises, cold air sinks, and if you fight that reality blindly, you end up burning fuel endlessly. Instead of sealing homes airtight, families learned to guide airflow deliberately. Drafts were not eliminated. They were, in fact, controlled. Air was allowed to enter and exit at specific heights and times, creating a slow, predictable circulation that kept rooms livable without the need for constant feeding of the fire. Upper vents and windows were opened with intention. One of the most effective techniques involved cracking upper-level windows or vents on the sun-facing side of the house during daylight hours. This allowed warmed air near ceilings to escape gradually. As it exited, it pulled cooler, denser air upward rather than letting it pool at floor level. The result was a steady movement of air that prevented stagnation and cold pockets without dumping heat all at once. Lower windows on the shaded or windward side stayed closed, forcing the system to work vertically instead of horizontally. Transoms and interior airflow, they mattered just as much as exterior walls. Many early 20th century homes included transom windows above doors for a reason. You see, warm air collected near ceilings could move between rooms instead of being trapped where it was least useful. Families would leave these transoms open during the day and close them selectively at night, shaping heat distribution room by room. This clever approach prevented one space from overheating while another froze, and all of it was done without using any additional fuel. Sleeping areas, interestingly enough, were treated as microclimates. Historic families did not attempt to heat entire rooms evenly overnight. Instead, they focused on the human body. Beds were pulled slightly away from exterior walls, and thick drapes, quilts or wool blankets were hung between the sleeper and the cold surface. This created a pocket of warmer air that, stayed stable through the night. Diaries from Northern Europe and early American homesteads describe lined bonnets, headboards and fabric canopies used to block drafts around the head and shoulders. The room could be cold, but the sleeper stayed warm. Fireplaces and stoves were, in essence, airflow engines. A wood stove was never just a heater. It was a driver of circulation. Doors to adjoining rooms were kept slightly ajar to allow warm air to spread, while doors to unused spaces stayed closed to prevent waste. Some households placed metal plates or reflective surfaces behind stoves to push radiant heat back into the living area instead of letting it, bleed into masonry or exterior walls. This was not decoration. It was efficiency. Heavy drapes slowed heat loss without sealing air completely. Full insulation was rare, but fabric was abundant. Floor-to-ceiling drapes along cold walls and over windows acted as thermal buffers. These barriers slowed cold air from mixing rapidly with warmer air while still allowing gradual circulation. At night, closing these drapes preserved heat gathered during the day. In the morning, they were opened to let sunlight and warmer air re-enter the system. Timing mattered as much as structure. Windows and vents were opened only when conditions favoured heat retention. Midday sun, calmer winds, and just slightly warmer outside temperatures, these dictated ventilation schedules. Everything was closed before the evening cold set in. This rhythm reduced fuel consumption dramatically. Honestly, modern households can replicate this today with nothing more than awareness and a bit of discipline. Not every room deserved warmth. Perhaps the most important rule was prioritization. Only occupied spaces were heated aggressively. Storage rooms, hallways and work areas were allowed to remain cold. By concentrating heat where bodies actually were, families reduced overall demand while staying comfortable. This principle alone can, lower heating needs significantly. So, why does this rule still matter today? Well, it's simple, really. Our world might look different, but the fundamentals haven't changed. The wisdom behind this rule continues to shape how we manage our spaces even now. These techniques, are not just nostalgic tricks from the past. They're actually direct responses to the realities of physics and scarcity. In a time when energy costs are rising and our systems can be, a bit fragile, understanding airflow is a genuine form of preparedness. Controlled ventilation, fabric barriers, clever timing, and creating microclimates, all of these can truly make the difference between comfort and, honestly, failure. The forgotten winter ventilation rule is, at its heart, quite simple. Don't fight air movement, command it. Heat follows discipline, and that's a lesson well worth remembering. If this guide has helped you see winter in a new light, go ahead and subscribe to WARFRONT Survival. Share this with someone who values real knowledge, and above all, keep these hard-earned lessons alive.